Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and I just got another issue of the LEGO Ninjago Magazine. I acknowledge I'm very late on this one. These are coming in a little bit later now because of reasons I've discussed in previous videos, but luckily the videos are able to continue at the very least. This month's issue comes with a Spectral Suit Kai minifigure. Not the most exciting minifigure because he does come in a $10 set, however what I am quite excited for is his accessory because it seems to use some very interesting parts that don't come in other Ninjago sets. However, as always, we'll take a look at that at the end of this video. For now, let me remove this so we can take a look at the full cover of the magazine. Here's the cover with the polybag removed. It says, "Wow, cool LEGO toy, Kai with huge fire blade. LEGO toy Kai, fiery sword, axe blade, mighty ninja. Stop them, ghosts everywhere. The biggest mech fight in history." Are we sure about that? Is this going to be the biggest mech fight in history? I find that hard to believe, but I guess we'll see. Of course, we've got some elite comic action and some fearsome posters, so let's get this opened up and see what's inside. Here we have an ad for the LEGO Batman magazine, and then here's the table of contents, which is advertising 5 new worlds. Explore them on pages 28 and 29. Our villain of the month this month is Lord Raz. There's no question about it, Lord Raz is one of the top 5 worst supervillains of all time. Few have kept the ninja in check for as long as he has, but to this day, his true plan remains a mystery. Does he want to overthrow the Source Dragons? Take over the world? What do you think? As always, there is the meanometer to rank how mean you think he is, and it's encouraging you to build something to defeat Lord Raz. Then on the first page here, there should be the bio page on the minifigure. Kai. After their epic victory over Thunderfang, Kai and the ninja could finally breathe a sigh of relief. For a while, things remain quiet. Too quiet. But suddenly, Kai's challenges start to get bigger. The training before the storm. Over tea that is far too sweet and dust-dry biscuits, Kai and Cole teach young ninja Frack a few cool moves. Sounds like hard work? Kai loves it. Frack, ninja training can sometimes be a bit dry. Ugh, but not as dry as Gio's biscuits. The adventure before the storm. They come across the skeleton of a giant source dragon. Using their combined elemental powers, they free it from the sand, only for it to immediately vanish into thin air. Wow, that is huge. Whoa! The storm. Suddenly, biscuits and adventures are a thing of the past. Noct, who has become a ghost, sweeps across the Imperium with the Spectral Dragonians. They catch Cole and suck out his soul. Now Kai and Frack are on their own. Can they save the city? Alright, so it's basically just summarizing Kai's role in Dragon's Rising Season 3 Part 2. Then we have the instructions to build the minifigure and the weapon. That gives you a little sneak peek of the interesting parts that the weapon uses. And this is neat. This is a little game that actually uses the brick-built weapon right here. You're supposed to place it in the middle and spin it and see how many points you get, like which enemies you defeat. That's fun. I like when they actually incorporate the magazine gift as a part of the magazine. Turning the page, whoa, what's going on here? Ghost Alarm. And this is a series of games right here related to the Spectral Dragonians and like the characters that they've captured. But what's really interesting is all these character renders that have been turned like hollow. They actually made these characters appear as if they're missing their souls, like we saw in the series, but some of these characters did not appear. Like we have Lasha, one of the Serpentine right here. This is one of the Hydro Whippers, of course Cole, but it's still cool to see like a custom face for Cole. There's Fugidove, there's one of the Geckles, there's Blazy H Speed, Racer 7, and of course my boy Zart. That's actually really cool. We've seen a lot of these renders quite a few times, so the fact that they're messing with them a little bit is neat. It makes them feel fresh and new. And they actually gave them unique expressions and stuff too. Alright, turning the page after that, we have One with Earth. Okay, this is a Frack game. Nice, I love Frack. And yeah, it's just a series of games related to Frack. And then we have Frohickey is always ready, and this is our coloring page for this issue. While the other ninja are out saving the world, Mr. Frohickey has to keep the monastery not only clean but safe. Help him prepare for any intruders by making him a ninja frog. Grab your crayons, color him, and decide which equipment he should use by crossing it off. That's very funny. I like that they put him in the Spectral Dragonian armor. And you can choose his weapon. The Dragon Steel Blade, the Staff of Wisdom, the Flaming Sharkids, the Dragon Hook, the Ruby Hammer, the Lance of Dominion, or the Precision Crossbow. After that, we should be at the comic. Yes, we are. And, ooh, okay, so this actually takes place, I guess technically during Dragon's Rising Season 3 Part 2, but this is something that was fully off-screen. We're seeing some of Zane and Pixel's journey through the merged lands, because they sort of just left at the beginning of 3 Part 2. So this is actually an interesting era to place a comic in. I wonder if we're going to see any of this in the show, or if they're just going to show back up and be like, yeah, we went on an adventure. But this is a really good place to put a comic. I like this a lot more than like shoving it between 2 episodes. These are characters that were off-screen and probably are going to remain off-screen. So it's really neat to fill in the gap as to like what might have been happening there. But yeah, as always with the comics, I'm not going to read the entire thing to you guys, but feel free to pause the video and read it for yourself. And if I notice anything especially funny or interesting, I will stop and point it out. This one is titled The Ultimate Bot Brawl. Alright, so it looks like they're flying past the city of temples, and Zane's telling a story of when they fought these like evil plants before getting there. That's not something we ever saw in the show, but I guess that's new lore that's being established here. And then turning the page. Oh, that's the Falcon. Okay, that's cool to bring the Falcon back in a comic. I would love to see him in the show, but a comic's better than nothing. Let me read this and see how this comes in. Okay, so the Falcon's just out here. That's very funny. We've not seen him since what, season 8, when he was a part of Zane's bike for some reason, and that was barely the Falcon. I don't think we've actually seen him since season 7. If even then, was he even in Hands of Time? I don't remember. But yeah, you guys know I'm an OG Day 1 Ninjago fan. I've been watching the show since it first premiered in 2011. Zane was by far my favorite ninja back then, still probably my favorite ninja today, though I like the others a lot more than I used to. However, the Falcon is a very special character to me, so it's cool to see him in a comic. Would love to have him back in the show. Oh, and they also run into Cyrus Borg. They're just bringing back all these legacy characters in this random comic. Sure, I guess. There's a big robot fighting tournament, and they need spare parts for their hot air balloon, but Cyrus Borg is like, oh, you have to compete for them. Cyrus Borg also built himself new robot legs, which is a bit strange, because didn't he make a point in Season 3 that he would never do that again, because, like, he felt like he relied too much on technology, and then the Overlord took over, and then he didn't have control over his legs, so that's why he's been in a normal wheelchair ever since. It's a little funny to give him back those legs, because I feel like that kind of contradicts his character. I mean, it looks cool at least, but a little bit strange, and also such a weird way to reintroduce a semi-major character, right? Like, the Falcon, okay, he was major in Season 1, but we've not seen him in forever. Cyrus Borg, though, was a character all the way up until Crystallize. And of course, it's important to point out that the magazines aren't canon, but they're meant to be, like, canon adjacent, right? They're meant to fit with canon, they just get things wrong sometimes. So if you did consider this canon, it would be very weird this is, like, how Cyrus Borg is reintroduced in Dragon's Rising, but sure, I'm happy to see him. I guess I prefer this to just, like, making up a random new character for the magazine. But this is the break in the comic, so we will see where it goes in just a moment. First, though, we have a couple more games and some posters. This one is called Exit at the top. You have to figure out which of these paths leads to the exit. Then we have this poster in the center right here. Ooh, and this is actually very cool. It matches the poster that we got last month. Last month we had a poster of every single villain from Ninjago Dragon's Rising, like sorted by season. This time around it's every single ninja suit from Dragon's Rising, sorted by ninja instead of being sorted by suit. Interesting, it seems like Jay was left off here. He has had minifigures, but they've not appeared in the show, so this does look to be more show-based rather than set-based. Because for Sora and Aaron too, they only have their canon suits. Like, they have some weird amalgam suits in the sets where they have like part of their armor in their hairpiece, and that's not present here. It is just the distinct ones that appeared in the show. Zane does still have all of his suits, though, despite this one never appearing. But yeah, once again, I think this is really cool. It fits great with the other one. A bit of a shame that, like, Jay doesn't really fit on either. I think Dark Jay was on the last one, but not the other, like, normal Ninja Jay suits. And it does show you how desperately Wildfire needs a new outfit, because, like, look at the main ninja, and then look at her. It is cool to see Frack and Pixel included as well. But yeah, this is a really cool poster, and very different from the magazines. I gave a lot of compliments to last month's one, and I feel exactly the same about this one. Would love to see more things like this, like minifigure checklist sort of posters. And then this side, this looks pretty nice. It says Stronger Together, and it's got some of the Dragon's Rising Season 3 ninja. I like seeing this full art. I'm pretty sure this is the art that's on the boxes, but I don't know if I've ever seen it like in full like this with the blades. That actually looks quite cool. It's laid out nicely, the dragon symbol at the back's quite nice. Yeah, I think this is pretty well done. Both sides are a fairly good poster. Back to the magazine, we have Spinjitzu Sudoku. That's fun. They're actually calling it out as Sudoku. They're not just calling it like puzzle, because that's often what they do with the Sudoku style puzzles. This game, you have to figure out which path leads to the top speed for Wildfire. And then we should be back to the comic. Okay, so Zane's got a new big body. It's not the big Zane from earlier this year, which I don't know why. It's not just that one. But yeah, we have a new, different big Zane. And then here are his opponents. We have Metal Rascal, Blade Knight, Cyber Giant, Fear Factor, Demolition Ace, and Lobbo. And Lobbo looks to be very similar to Lobbo, except he's sitting on the ground instead of floating in the air, and he's gold instead of purple. So the fight starts, all the robots are punching each other, and then Lobbo does like this surprise attack where he bounces off the walls and hits everyone. He looks to be a very powerful opponent. Next page. Lobbo's flying all over the place. Alright, Zane's falling apart, but now it's time for round 3. Will he win? Let's find out. Alright, Zane just dunks him against the ground and he explodes. Okay. Yeah, they never confirmed that, like, he's chill and okay. It looks like everyone just fell apart. Sure. Alright, so they win, they get the part they need, and then they go back on their journey. They invite the Falcon to come with them, but it turns out the Falcon has a girlfriend, so he doesn't want to leave. That's a little funny. I like how the girl Falcon has a pink eye and eyelashes to show that it's a girl. Sure, I guess that's certainly something. This comic was good, I definitely enjoyed it. It's another one where the characters feel a little out of character, I guess. Like, Zane is weirdly violent against other robots, which I know it's like, it's supposed to be a tournament, right? And they are robots, they're not like people. But Zane's whole thing is he's more than just a robot, he's a person. So treating the others as just like machines to be destroyed feels a little bit odd. They're not given like any personality, it really seems. They're just completely fine destroying them and blowing them up. Especially when this one's clearly related to, like, Lobbo. And Lobbo is a character, right? He's more than just a machine. And we're just dunking him and exploding him, and then he's never seen again. Like, a little bit odd, I'll be honest, a little bit odd. But still, I will say this was a compelling story. It's one I was very interested in, probably because there's characters I recognize, and it's in, like, a time period that's interesting to explore. So I will say it's definitely one of the better magazine comics we've had, even if there is some oddities to it. Anyway, that's the end of the comic, but not the end of the magazine, because here we have Realms Galore. And this is covering a bunch of the realms that are seen in Dragon's Rising Season 3 Part 2. I assume this is just summarizing the show, so I'm going to read through it real quick. Of course, feel free to pause, read for yourself if you want. But yeah, I assume it's mostly just a summary. I'll let you know if I notice anything especially interesting in here. Okay, yep, pretty much just summarizing the show. I don't really have anything more to share. I do like how they call out the skeleton bowling here, which I guess we did technically see in the show, right? These two are bowling, but I don't think they called it skeleton bowling. But that's a neat reference because that's what a 2011 set was called, skeleton bowling. So I like that they are sort of canonizing that as the official name of what they were doing in a way. It's small, but it's a very fun little touch. After that, we have On the Run, and ooh, here we have a minifigure render of Rogue with his hairpiece. I doubt we're ever going to get that hairpiece physically, but it's neat to see it on like an actual minifigure rather than just being pulled from the show. And okay, this is fun. It's a 3v1 Jay versus 3 Lees. And Jay has to try to survive for 10 rounds without being caught by the Lees. The Lees can only move forward, but Jay can move any direction. And then we have a little power lid board game here too. After that is the Hollow one. Oh, this is neat. There's an Ninjago alphabet translator here. But yeah, with this game, there's a few clues, and you have to help Geo find Cole, who's gone missing after turning hollow. And we've got that same, like, hollow Cole render from earlier in the magazine. Then this is a giveaway if you want to win some free Dragon's Rising sets. I assume this is UK only, and its closing date is November 19th, which I think is the day I'm uploading this video, so, I think it's your last chance. Especially with the UK time zone, it might be too late. And then finally, to end things off, we have an advertisement for next month's magazine, which is going to come with a Spectral Cole minifigure. This one's actually pretty cool to get, because he only comes in 2 sets, both of which are over $100. And while I like both of those sets, none of them are, like, at the top of my list of most desirable sets of this wave. So if you guys wanted Cole and you didn't want either of those sets, this is now a much more affordable way to get him. And he comes with the reveal blade, too, which is pretty cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. And then finally, at the end here, we have Ninja Bingo. That's fun. It's just bingo with Ninjago characters and Ninjago symbols. And there's a look at the other side. Unfortunately, tearing off the polybag earlier destroyed some of the board. But you can see what was supposed to be there. That's the Forbidden 5 symbol and Wildfire. But yeah, I think that's about going to do it for the actual magazine. Overall, I think this was pretty solid. The magazines have been quite good lately, just like as of the past year or so. The games seem a little more unique than they used to. The posters have been really, really good. Like, those old posters were a mixed bag, but honestly, it's not often these days where I get a poster and I'm like, oh, I don't like that one. The modern ones are a lot more creative and look a lot nicer. And the comic was actually really fun this time around. I did enjoy it, even if it is a bit odd in a few places. But of course, that's not everything we have to look at, so now let's get the polybag opened up. So here is Spectral Suit Kai all put together, and let's take a look at that accessory first, because there's a lot of really cool stuff going on here. The magazines often come with very unique, very interesting weapon builds, and this is one of the coolest I've seen. Starting off, the actual sword blade at the top right here, this is a standard Ninjago katana, but in transparent orange. This was a very rare part when it was first introduced in 2023, only coming in a polybag and the Ninjago City markets. It has come in a few other places since then. I'm pretty sure it's in the Tournament Temple City, and it's come in a few other magazines as well, so it's not as uncommon as it once was, but still a very cool color to get that part in. It's one of the only times that part's been made in a transparent color, so it's neat to have another way to get that. The base of the sword is a little candle flame piece coming out, which is neat to get. I don't think we see that too often in Ninjago specifically. In something like Harry Potter, it's super common, but that's neat to get here to represent Kai's element. But my favorite part is by far this axe blade piece. So this is the standard LEGO axe blade, but it's in the newer reddish orange color that was introduced in 2024, I believe. And what's cool about that is I'm pretty sure this is the first time it's actually been used as an axe blade, because this recolor was introduced for the LEGO Botanicals line to make different flowers, and it looks really cool in those sets, right? It creates these really interesting textures, but it's never come in a Ninjago set in this color, so pulling it over and actually using it as a weapon looks great, and it makes this weapon super unique, because that piece was designed for flowers, so this is the first, like, official LEGO weapon to use that part in that color. So yeah, amazing accessory. I think it fits Kai really well, and it represents his element of fire perfectly. With that removed, though, here's a full look at the Spectral Suit Kai minifigure, and in general, I like the Spectral Suits. The armor pieces are super cool in theory. I love love the dual molding on them with the gold and whatever the ninja's color is, in Kai's case red. The dragon face looks awesome, the sort of like bamboo on the one side. It can hold standard katanas at the back too, which does include the accessory that he comes with. So that's very nice to see. It actually does fit on his back, even if it is a little bit large for him. However, the one issue with these armor pieces is the very obvious mold mark in the center right here. You can see there's a little dot, that's where it's broken off of the molding machine, and it just looks so ugly. I wish that wasn't so front and center. I wish it was hidden away a little bit better, maybe on the inside, because that does like almost ruin these suits for me. Zane looks fine because it's on white, so it's not as obvious, but on every single other ninja, this is how it looks, and it really takes away from the overall look of the suit. Not the biggest fan of the headband hair pieces here either. Like, I don't hate those parts, but the rest of the ninja suit is so bulky, I feel like a hood really would have fit here. Luckily, this armor piece is compatible with the Dragon's Rising hood system, so you could swap it out if you want, but yeah, by default, I would have preferred if that was there. Here's a look at Kai with the hair and armor removed. I actually really love the black undershirt on him. I feel like that pops so much against the red. It's a bit of a shame it's covered up by the armor. And back torso print's awesome, where he's got a symbol there sort of like etched into it. The dark tan fits him really nicely. All the ninja use that this wave. I do feel like the orange trim on the robes is a little bit awkward, but it's not the worst. It works fine. And yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, this guy does unfortunately come in a $10 set, which is, I mean, great for people who are buying sets. But if you like buying the magazines as like a cheaper way to get minifigures, this is probably not the best one. Just because if you're going to spend $10 on a magazine or $10 on a set, you might as well get the full set. This super cool, unique accessory does help make up for the value a little bit, but of course the main focus is the minifigure, and if you already have the minifigure and you don't care about getting an extra, this one probably isn't a super high priority for you. But now, what are my thoughts on this magazine overall? Well, of course, as always, the minifigure is the most important thing here, and I do think this is one of the most skippable minifigures we've had in a while. There is just unfortunately a much better way to get him, and this isn't like a magazine with a bonus minifigure, so that is a huge limiting factor for this one. I will say the posters, the comics, everything else this time around was really good, so if you do enjoy those aspects of the magazine, yeah, this is a pretty solid one. But if you're buying just for the minifigure, which I think a lot of fans are, this is probably one you could skip out on. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this magazine in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.